Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om. Salutations to all. So, we were doing the fourth canto of Bhagavatam, and in that fourth canto, we see three prasangs which are there. The fourth canto is divided into four main parts actually. We have only done three. So the first 7 chapters are about Sati, Daksha Prajapati, Sati's Prasang. Then the next 5 chapters are about Dhruva. So Dharma is explained, Dharma Purushartha is explained in the first 7. Then the Artha Purushartha is explained in the next 5. And the next 11 are about this Kama Purushartha. Sorry, Dharma, Artha, Kama. And then the last one is the Moksha Purushartha that will come. So in that section, the third portion, which is about the Kama Purushartha, so we see about Raja Prthu and how Raja Prthu, so Raja Vain, and then many things happened, and then his son is Prthu Raja, who is a avatar of Bhagwan himself, and how the Prthu Raja milks the earth, and then he conducts the Ashwamedha Yajnas, and the 100th Ashwamedha Yajna, Bhagwan tells him don't conduct. Bhagwan himself manifests there. And his yajna has become successful because Bhagwan himself came there. And Prthu Raja also is very thrilled, very happy. He follows the instructions of Bhagwan. He continues to rule in a very glorious way. And there we see that Sanatkumars have come to bless him. So he welcomes the Sanatkumars in the 22nd chapter, and he is again very grateful to them. And he asks them a question about how to attain liberation. How salvation can be easily attained in this very birth. So the Sanatkumars, they explain so many preparatory sadhanas. They explain about, so main principle they tell first. The main principle which they explain is detachment from all that which is not self and attachment to the self, or devotion for the self or God. That alone will lead a human being to realization. And in that process, how one will develop this detachment and this devotion. So many sadhanas are explained, like solitude, being away from the people who are engaged only in the wealth and sense enjoyments, singing the glory of Bhagwan's names, living the life of austerity, practicing self-discipline, observing the 12 religious vows, Or internal, external purity, uttering the name of Bhagavan, austerity, offering oblations into the fire, reverence, worship of the Lord, pilgrimage, doing good to others, contentment, all these qualities which are there in this Bhagavad 9th chapter, 9th canto, 19th chapter, verses 33 to 35. So many qualities are given. All this will purify the mind. With such a purified mind, what should one do? He says here that one should go to the teacher. When this love for Bhagavan is firmly rooted and detachment from the world one has attained, then he says that man resorts to a worthy preceptor and goes to the teacher, listens to the Brahmagyan, and that will dissolve this sense of division that one has, that I am separate, God is separate, world is separate. Like the fire consuming the very source when it originates. He dissolves his subtle body, mainly consisting of 5 subtle elements. Now, one example also is given that when this sense of separation is destroyed, then a person will not see this difference between oneself and God and the creation. So just like the dreamer who has woken up does not see the difference between the waker, the dreamer, the dream creator, the dream world, all divisions disappear. So that is where we had stopped. Now further, that is verse 27 in Canto 4, Discourse 22. So Sanatkumars continue from there, that as long as this conditioning mind, meaning the conditioning that I am this jiva, I am Mr. So-and-so, I have these attributes. We are talking about psychological conditioning right now, not functionally. There is a mind that is required to transact with the world, but we don't think that it is a role. We think it is real. So that psychological division that is there, he says here that as long as this conditioning exists, one sees oneself, one sees the objects. When this conditioning is not there, for example, in deep sleep, it does not exist. That time one does not see the difference between I and the world. Of course, we know that that's a state of ignorance, but the state of illumination is where these differences are not there and knowledge is there. It's not a state of ignorance. That is a knowledge absolute which exists. So he says that just like we don't experience our image, one another example he gives is, unless there is a reflecting medium, there has to be a mirror or there has to be some water, some reflecting medium is required, then one sees one's image. Otherwise one will not see. Same way, as long as this mind and intellect, this subtle body with the sense of difference exists, so long the pratibimba happens. So we know in Vedanta the theory of reflection. The sun reflecting in a bucket of water. Many buckets of water. It appears it has so many buckets. The sun is as though divided. But when will that reflection be there? As long as water is there. If water is removed, there is no reflection then seen. Same way, as long as this conditioning is there that I am Mr. So-and-so, psychologically one clings to that. So long one sees that I am different, world is different, God is different. Then he says that when a person is distracted by the senses, gets attached to the senses, gets attached to the sense objects, then that attachment to the sense objects, the craving for that sense enjoyment, robs away one's power of discrimination imperceptibly. And the example he has given here is, just like the lump of grass sucks up water from a pool through its roots, one will not see. So many times we see the lakes and ponds, etc. They just dry up. Why? Because the trees and the plants growing around it, through the roots, they suck the water and the entire lake will dry. So in that same way, here it is said that the senses When a person is attached to the senses and the craving for the sense enjoyment is there, it will as though take away the power of discrimination of the buddhi. Now, one interesting point here is we have studied the ladder of fall in the Bhagavad Gita in 2nd chapter. Brooding over the sense objects, attachment rises, attachment gives rise to desire, desire gives rise to anger, anger gives rise to delusion, delusion leads to loss of memory leads to loss of discrimination, and one perishes. 8 steps in the ladder of fall. That same ladder of fall is there in Bhagavatam in a much more abridged version. See here. It starts in the same way. Dhyan, you see, dhyayataha. So, you see this shloka number 30. Indriyair vishaya krishtaihi akshiptam dhyayata manaha chetanam harate buddhehe stambhastoyamiva hradat. See that? Indriyaihi vishaya krishtaihi. When the person gets tempted through the senses based on the towards the sense objects, then the person broods on it. When that person broods on it, what happens? Chetanam harate buddhehe. The power of discrimination gets eclipsed, like the roots of the plants, they suck the water imperceptibly. In that way, Bhrashyatya nusmritischittam gnana bhramsha smritikshaye tadrodham kavaya prahuhu atma pahnavamatmanaha. 2 verses. It is done. So this loss of reason, when it happens, then memory fails. When memory fails, wisdom is not available. And when wisdom is not there, person has destroyed oneself. Meaning one does not know what is right, what is wrong. And instead of seeking the self, one is seeking the anatma. In chasing that, in attachment to that, all the other forms of sorrow and bondage, they will arise. And so he says here that there is no greater loss in the world than losing this, one's own self, because everything is dear to us for the self. And that self we have forgotten, gone far away from, and got bound to the not self. So this is like a caution. Not that Prthu Raja is anywhere attached and that he needs to know this. Through him we need to know this. Prthu Raja is anyway a Dharmik King and living a very self-controlled, disciplined life. But through him, because in the path of realization, these are the obstacles. So Sanatkumars, they were asked the question, how does one attain salvation? They gave the means of salvation, that is no doubt. But they didn't stop there. What did they do? They warned also, these are the challenges that will come on the way. A seeker must be very alert, because these are things that is what takes time. The preparation takes time. Realization is our true nature even now, but we have forgotten it. So they gave this warning. Now, further they say, constant preoccupation with wealth and objects of sense mean ruination of all interests of men. Artha and Kama have a place in life. One can use them, one needs them, one has them. That's all. Beyond that, this constant preoccupation, all the time one is thinking only of that, either how to enjoy, how to make more money, how to make more profit, which scheme, what project, which method, or how to enjoy. Which place will I travel to, which movie will I see, which food will I eat, with whom will I spend time, where will I go out, what clothes will I wear, full time. And if not for hours, for only oneself, then also one says, okay, with family, with friends, with this person, with that person, it goes on. If the mind is preoccupied only with this, then from the scriptural standpoint, one is not using this human body, human birth, to its optimum. So he says here that constant preoccupation with wealth and the objects of sense means the ruination of all interests of men. Why? Because what we saw earlier, loss of reason and discrimination can happen. And then there is no interest to study, to understand, to turn within, to do the sadhanas, to go to the guru, to get the knowledge. All that is gone because the mind is extroverted. And this requires to turn introverted. So they're opposite. And that's why he says here, deprived of his knowledge and wisdom through such preoccupation, man is reborn in the immobile creation. One can go into vegetable or mineral kingdom or the stones also. I mean, that's where mineral, so non-living. Why? Because one didn't use this opportunity and then one had the desires and one enjoyed forgetting the true self, and as per the desire one will go wherever. It's not like a condemnation that if you don't get self-knowledge you shall be punished to go in. It is not like that. As per the karma, as per their desire one will go. That's our culture. What it says, kamastaiste hritagnyanaha. As per the karma one will go. The knowledge is what we call captured, or it is obscured. That's a better word. The knowledge gets obscured. The desire to know the truth, etc., does not even arise. And if it arises also, this knowledge obscures that desire. And so that person will live as one wants to live, with whatever sense enjoyments, desires one wants to fulfill. What will happen after they drop the body? As per their desire, they will go to appropriate lokas and they may be again reborn. Where? If good karmas are there, satsang, punya karma one has done, then one will again get a human body. Otherwise, one can go anywhere based on the desire. In the Mundakopanishad, it is said that a person will go as kaman yakamayate manyamanha sakamabhir jayate tatra tatra. Whoever has any desire, as per their desire, they will go to appropriate lokas. Paryapta kamasya kritatmanastu ihaiva sarve praviliyanti kamaha. Paryapta kama, one whose desire, one has become desireless. All the desires drop here, only that person has realized the truth absolute here and now. That's the best use of human body. Now see, Prthu Raja is the avatar of Bhagavan Vishnu. And still Sanatkumars are giving him this whole knowledge. He is also asking Sanatkumars, please tell us about how to get moksha. Sanatkumars also begin by saying that not that you don't know this, but I know that you are asking for the well-being of everybody. So we are sharing. The whole thing is one leela that is happening for us. Because none of them need, neither Sanatkumars need that and nor the Raja Prthu needs it. We only need. So it's up for us. When he says this is like a caution, one should ask oneself that what am I preoccupied with? Is my mind really preoccupied with artha and kama, wealth and pleasure and power and all that? Or the mind really wants to know Bhagavan? That introspection one has to do. Because it is what the Shastra says, if we have Shraddha in that, then this is a warning, because otherwise one goes from human being to immobile creation. You think about it, plant, bird, immobile meaning plants and below, meaning stones, minerals, all that. Mobile at least is, animals and birds, but immobile. So that's the 32nd verse where he says this. Nata parataro loke pumsa swartha vyatikramaha yadadhyayanyasya preyastvatmana swavyatikramat. Then he says arthendriyarthabhidhanam sarvarthapah navo nrinam bhramshito jnana vijnana dhyena vishati mukhyatam. So he goes on to further explain that a person who wants to cross, so everything has an adhikar. If one wants to crossed this ocean of samsara, one has seen enough of this artha, kama, dharma, all these, and one says, no, I want only moksha now. So whoever is keen to cross and reach the other shores of the samsara, meaning cross over this realm of ignorance, that person should not do anything which will take the person away from. Here 4 purusharthas given: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Hare Swamiji, just now say artha and kama, now again in that you say don't do opposite to what is these 4 purusharthas. See, in this what it means is, when we know dharma properly, we may use artha and kama to do our duty, which was said earlier, to purify the mind. One should discharge one's duties, dedicate them to Bhagavan. So artha and kama have a place in life, and one uses them to discharge one's duty, to serve the society, to support the other 3 ashrams, brahmacharya, vanaprastha and sannyasa. The grihastha only supports all the 3. So anything to discharge the duties in that context, artha and kama will be pursued, and that is the duty one has. But one should not go deeper into that where one forgets the purpose of artha and kama and gets attached. It's very strange, human being, we say, let us not go too deep into anything. Moderation of everything is very important. So they will apply this logic to even spiritual sadhana, to satsang, to seva. You tell them to volunteer, tell them to do some spiritual practices. There they will say, not too much of everything, everything in limits, everything, limit. But artha and kama, no limit. One is going full on. That's the contradiction in human life. Artha and kama, no limit. Any enjoyment, anywhere, anyhow, anytime, and all the time preoccupied with that. Then where did that logic go? That logic of everything in moderation many times applies only to spiritual path, just to escape from it. So here he says, when Bhagavan says here that a person who wants to go across must pursue dharma, artha, kama and moksha as per the vision of the scriptures, where artha and kama is used. And then again he clarifies one more point. He says that even in these 3, even in these 4, moksha is the most important one. Other 3 are subservient to that main purpose. As long as they help me to move towards moksha, I should use them. If they take me away from moksha, increase my bandhan, increase my attachment to not self, reduce my devotion to Bhagavan, reduce my intensity to seek the self, I have to abandon that attachment. So very, very clear that of these 4 too, liberation alone is acknowledged as the highest purpose of life. For everything falling under the category of the other 3 objects of human pursuit is ever exposed to the fear of death. It is all perishable, temporary. Mukti is our swarupa. Mukti is permanent. It is there right here and now. It is unchanging. However good I may be, mind can always play the tricks and one can fall. So that goodness or that dharma, the sattvikta, everything has to be used to contemplate and transcend it, to know that which is beyond the realm of change. So that's what he says, and he explains further the logic that there is no stability in this creation, because creation itself has come out of the imbalance of sattva, rajas, tamas. So if one thinks that everything will be in a particular balance, then I will be happy, that first of all is a utopian dream. It will not happen, because creation itself has happened because of imbalance of sattva, rajas and tamas. In that we can do sadhana, bring the mind to a sattvic state, not because I want to enjoy more and more, because I can transcend that and go beyond. That is the purpose. So that's why he says everything here is in a state of change, flux. Creation itself started by that, and time is such a thing that it will destroy everything. So however great one may be, however good one may be, however glorious one may be, at some point it will get destroyed. Even goodness, even people who have such good values, even jivas who have done so much punya and gone to the heavens, don't we see that they get affected by jealousy or anger or any such thing? How long the goodness lasts? Time destroys so many things. So one should know very clearly that when one is able to do sadhana, seva, satsang, all that one should do, get the mind into a sattvic state, transcend the mind, transcend time. That is the only way to realize absolute. So that's why he says all this. And then he continues that hence, O Raja, O Prthu Raja, please be aware that there is only one changeless factor, that is your own true self. And that Lord alone is the ruler of all the jivas, who perceptibly and inwardly shines as the all-pervading ruler of the jiva. And where is he? In the hearts of all the jivas, in the hearts of all mobile and immobile beings invested with a body, the senses, prana, intellect, ego, all that. He says, go seek refuge of that Supreme Bhagwan alone. And further he says that that Supreme Bhagwan alone, who is the self in all the jivas, is the one who appears as this entire universe. He only is the cause, which is the source of creation, and he only is appearing as the universe also. He only is the effect. And this knowledge also vanishes, vanishing on the dawn of discriminating wisdom. So, this ignorance will vanish that I am this jiva when one surrenders to that Supreme Lord. How that ignorance will vanish? The example given here is vanishing on the dawn of discriminating wisdom, even like the notion of a serpent with regard to a wreath of flowers. Just like some garland of flowers is fallen somewhere and we think that it is a snake. But the moment we see clearly, then we understand, it is not a snake, it is just a garland there. So in that way, when this knowledge arises, when a person has surrendered to Bhagavan, this ignorance that I am this jiva will just go away. One will see that oneness with Bhagavan. So he says, you focus the mind on the lotus feet of that Supreme Lord, and that will help to go beyond the knots of the heart, beyond the karmic bondage. And he gives example that many recluses who have emptied their mind, having withdrawn their senses, they are also not able to do this. And meaning they are also not able to cut asunder the bonds of karma and ignorance. Why? Because they have not yet taken refuge of the feet of the Lord. Some, what we call, confusion one has in the mind about God, and one thinks the thoughtless state is the supreme, blank state is the supreme, emptiness state is the supreme. So even if they have done all this, the thoughts of the world are not there, they have learned to withdraw their senses, but they are not able to go beyond ignorance. Why? Because one does not have the clarity that the self in me is that infinite truth, that is God, and that alone manifests as Ishvara. As long as I am a jiva, I need to surrender that bhavana. Otherwise, remaining as a jiva, I can get absorbed in thinking about blank, thinking about shunya, thinking about emptiness, but I still remain finite jiva only. So he says that one has to surrender. And especially Bhagavad being the Bhakti Pradhan Granth, again very important, surrender plays the maximum role. So he says here that great agony is experienced in crossing the ocean of this samsara, and this is infested with fierce crocodiles in the shape of five senses and the mind, by those who have not found the boat in God. So this is the important point. This ocean of samsara is infested with these crocodiles in the form of the senses and the mind, and one who has not found the boat to go across this ocean of samsara. Now imagine swimming through all these crocodiles and all that, terrible. So he says that they who reach to seek the other end by painful means, meaning such as practice of this yoga where they say there is no God, if that Nirishwar yoga they practice, where there is no God, there is emptiness, there is blankness, there is thought absence. Why one is going through that? when beautifully one can surrender to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan is the boat who will take you across there. So he says, therefore you make the adorable feet of Sri Hari your boat and cross the ocean of misery, which is so difficult to cross. What ego is there to deny Bhagwan and his existence, and his form's existence, and his glories? Sanatkumar said those people who deny this, they find it very difficult to cross this ocean of samsara. Keeping away a simple means, why does one want to struggle? And one thinks that no, all this is creation of human being only, and all kinds of wrong notion one has. So many sadhus, mahatmas, they have attained the darshan of Bhagwan. What to talk about Bhagwan's existence being doubted? It's not one or two people, it's not some hallucination or fantasy in somebody's mind. For so many, what we call centuries, Mahatmas have come not only in Bharat, across the world. Maximum in Bharat we know about. Each of them, their experience is same. Each one has realized the, what we call, the form in which they have worshipped Bhagwan. Bhagwan has manifested also. Historical characters are there. Still one has all doubts. That is only because of the attachment to the BMI. And some punya karma is still not fructified. That's all. So, here Sanatkumar, they say that and they conclude saying you surrender to Bhagwan. After all knowledge and everything is given and the precautions are told and one is made cautious, then he finally says you surrender to Bhagwan. He is the boat. Go across the ocean of samsara. Interesting analogy is the analogy of the boat, This boat is the example given here is that you make the feet of the Lord Sri Hari your boat and cross the ocean. In a boat, we have to sit happily. That boatman will row and take us. Unless, of course, we are the boatman, then that's a different thing. But otherwise, we go and sit. The boatman does all the hard work. We are enjoying, taking pictures, and some seagulls are there. You give some food to them, or you just see the beautiful, whatever, the lake or river, anything. हमको कुछ नहीं करना है. Surrender and just be. Bhagwan will take. But that one doesn't want to do. So anyway, Sanatkumars end it with this beautiful analogy. Make the feet of Bhagwan the boat to take us across the ocean of samsara. Now when Sanatkumars gave this knowledge and concluded it so beautifully, the king, Prthu Raja, is very, very happy and he praises him and he expresses his gratitude in this way. So he says, Raja Uvacha, 42nd shloka now. Krito me nugraha purvam harinartanu kampina tamapadaitum brahman bhagavan yuyamagataha. See, Bhagwan, he blessed Prthu Raja by manifesting in that yajna. And that time he told that Sanatkumars will come. The result of Bhagwan's darshan is Sanatkumars coming there to Prthu Raja. The result of Ram darshan is meeting Bharatji. Very important to understand that. Bharatji is a symbol of that. The result of Ram darshan is Bhagwan, Bharatji's darshan. So many sadhus got darshan of Bhagwan Ram and Bharatji then came to the forest to take Bhagwan back. So all those sadhus whom Bhagwan Ram met first, they were blessed with Bharatji's darshan. That in Tulsi Ramayana when we do, or even Valmiki Ramayana, when we do Ramayana, that time we understand that. Bharatji is a Param Bhakta. So in our life, if we have satsang, we have some great teacher, we have some people like Gurudev who have come into our life, Tapon Maharaj, Their presence itself means that Kripa Bhagwan is there. And if that path which they indicate is followed, one will realize the Lord in the absolute nature. So here Bhagwan had said, so the darshan of Bhagwan, the fruit of that is darshan of Sanatkumars and the knowledge from them, the satsang with them. So he says here that Bhagwan gave me darshan, but that darshan has got completed now by your coming. Sri Hari, who is so kind to the afflicted, showered his grace to me in first instance. It is in order to bring it to its culminating point that you have all come here. That the Kripa of Bhagwan is culminating here in this darshan of the Sanat Kumars and the Jnana from them. Very important, both. So here he gave the knowledge, he asked the question, they gave the knowledge also. So he says, Nishpaditascha Katsnyena Bhagavadbhir Dhrunalubhihi Sadhuchishtam hi me sarvam atmana saha kim dade. Sadhuchishtam hi me sarvam. He says that you are very, very compassionate and you have made this darshan very fruitful by giving this knowledge. What can I give you in return? Kim dade. What can I give you in return? Why? Because sadhuchishtam. Whatever I have is already yours. Literally, uchishtam means jhuta, what is left over. Sadhuchishtam hi me sarvam. He says everything that is here is only sadhuchishta. How can a king say like that? These are Sanat Kumar, they are only Vairagis, they don't have a samsar, they didn't do anything. How can King Prthu say that whatever he has? And further he goes on to explain what is those things which is sadhuchishtam. Pranaha, daraha, suta, brahman, grihascha, saparichadaha, rajyam, balam, mahi, kosha, iti sarvam niveditam. He says all this, that everything that belongs to me, including myself, my life, my spouse, my sons, my house, with all its appurtenances, kingdom, army, land, treasury. He says, all this I offer at your feet, but it already belongs to you. Sainapatyam cha rajyam cha dandena tritvam cha sarva lokadhipatyam cha veda shastra vidarhati. Now he explains why is it said sadhuchishtam jagat hime sarvam. Sadhuchishtam hime sarvam. Everything that I have is a leftover of all the great sadhus. Meaning what? So he explains this. All these, Sainapatyam, the position of the commander-in-chief, the kingdom, the ability to rule in a fair way, danda netritvam evacha, being a leader, a just, able administrator, sarvalokadhipatyam, the sovereignty of the whole world. Who can have all this? Only Veda Shastra Vid Arhati. Only a person who is the knower of the Veda and Shastra can actually do any of these roles properly, perform any of these roles properly. To be a just king, to be a leader, to be a commander-in-chief, to be a lawyer or a judge who will dispense justice, all this, and to have wield power, all this can be done only by somebody who has a thorough knowledge of the Veda and the Shastra, whose buddhi is surrendered, who has a proper discrimination, who is not hankering after sense enjoyments. Only that person can. Swameva brahmano bhunkte swam vaste swam dadati cha tasyaivanugrahena annam bhunjate kshatriyadayaha. So he says that a brahmana eats his own food, wears his own clothes, and gives away his own property to others. It is by his sufferance that the Kshatriyas and others eat their food. Meaning, Brahmana is really capable of doing anything, ruling the kingdom also, dispensing justice also, even fighting, even being a commander in chief. One can do. One who knows the Veda can do anything. One can get that, what we call, if one wants to, one will cultivate all those capabilities, and some may even have it. But what is the main purpose of the Veda? Just now we saw everything is limited by time, it is perishable. So the real essence of Brahmanatvam is one who seeks Bhagavan, one who seeks Brahman. So Brahmana is not interested in all these. So Brahmana lives in simplicity. That's why they said cooks the own food, eats his own food and wears his own clothing and gives away his own property to others. And he says, let the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras and others handle the rest. I will give them the knowledge, let them work, but I am not interested in this. Let them do. And so a Brahmana gives the knowledge. The greatest seva a Brahmana does is a Jnana seva. Share the knowledge and let them handle. Please remember, we are not going by birth again. We are going by temperament here. He is not being told about any Brahmana who is born, any Kshatriya who is born. Here we are talking about temperament. So one who knows the way to the infinite is considered supreme in our culture. Whoever that person may be, born in whichever kula, whichever varna. Here we are talking about that. So when he says that sadhu chishtam hime sarvam, he says all this is your leftover. Meaning Sanatkumars, etc., they were also param vairagis. No, when Brahmaji told them, you take this creation forward, they said, no, we are not interested. We want to only pursue Brahman. They left. They could have taken that power. Brahmaji gave them that power. He said, we don't want. In that context, one says, sadhu chishtam hime sarvam. Second point to understand also is when he says, all this I offer to you, some people say, Arey, what will these Sanatkumars do anyway? What will these Vairagi people will do? They are only 5 years old and they are eternally 5 years old. And they are not interested in creation itself. Why will they be interested in this kingdom and this one earth? The point is not about what they will do. The point is about the bhavana of minus, ahamta and mamata that the king may have. King is offering that saying, none of this is mine. It already belongs to you. I am only a caretaker of this. That bhavana is important here. And if the Sanat Kumar wants to rule, they may rule also because they have the knowledge and they have the capability. That they are not doing is a different matter. So we have to understand the main import. The main import, why he is offering this, not because the king, the Sanat Kumars need, because the ahamta and mamata should go away in us. So one offers. And so he says that may you who are well versed in the Vedas and have in your abounding compassion precisely explain to us the nature, the true nature of God as depicted above. May you be ever pleased with your own acts. Meaning that act of sharing knowledge. In that you are always pleased and you remove the sorrow of people and help them to cross over the ocean of samsara. How many can do that? Very few. So who will make himself a butt of ridicule by presuming to recompense your acts of benevolence? That he says, why should, even if I offer all this, it is in no way equal to what you have given, which helps one to cross across the ocean of samsara and realize the absolute truth. So I don't want to make a fool of myself by trying to offer you something in compensation for what you have given. I offer it out of this humble attitude of surrender. That's the bhav. Now, Sanat Kumars are Param Vairagis. They are not like, okay, the king has given us kingdom and everything, let us take. Then they will not be Sanat Kumars. They are Param Vairagis. So the king did what he had to do and genuine bhavana he did. Adored by King Prthu and praising his virtuous conduct, those masters of the science of realization, they rose to the heavens while everybody stood gazing on them. They went. Now, what happened after they went? Raja Prthu continues to rule in a very, very dharmic way. But here comes a very nice portion now, where he says that Vainyastu dhuryo mahatam samsthityadhyatma shikshaya aptakamamivatmanam mena atmanyavasthitaha कर्माणि च यथा कालं यथा देशं यथा बलं यथोचितं यथा वित्तम् अकरोत् ब्रह्म सात्कृतम्. This one line is very nice. 50th shloka. We should remember that. How karma should be done. So this son of Vena, he was established in the self. This knowledge they gave, and through that, then and there he gets realized. And through concentration of the mind, as a result of instructions received from the Sanatkumars. So that also shows the preparedness of Prthu Raja, that all the work that he has done, yajnas, etc., he has done, has not been to boost the ego, that has been to dissolve the ego, and Bhagwan himself manifested, and then Sanatkumars came, he sought the knowledge properly, so vidhivat, as though, he has approached the Guru, he has asked the knowledge, and the Gurus have given the knowledge, and he was ready, he got mukti, he got realization. So the science of Vedanta we see here. Karma Yoga, Upasana, then comes the Sadhan Chatushtaya, then Guru Upasati, then Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan, Samadhi, Sakshatkar, all that you see here. So when he heard directly and he was prepared, he realized then and there, and regarded himself as, beautiful expression here is, Apta Kamam. One has fulfilled what had to be fulfilled in this life. Realization is required. That has happened. What more is required? Apta Kama. No more desires for anything for oneself. One has realized absolute. So that is Apta Kama. Then what happened? Did his life become like a vegetable? What happens to person after realization? One who has gone beyond body, mind, intellect, one who has detached from everything, their person's life will become dull, boring. No, see here what he said. He performed all his duties at the proper time, proper place, proper way, to the best of his ability, offering it as the duty to, as his devotion to Bhagwan. That's it. So beautiful 4 points are here. Yatha kalam, yatha desham, yatha balam, yathochitam, yatha vittam. As 5 things, sorry. At the right time, in the right place, with the right capability, strength, in the right way to execute it, and with the right resources. As per one's own resources, one has done this, continues to rule the kingdom. Phalam brahmani vinyasya nirvishanga samahitaha karmadhyaksham cha manvana atmanam prakrite param. So he says here that dedicating the fruits to God with a concentrated mind and regarding himself as a sakshi of all actions and beyond, all the actions are being done by the Prakriti, I am only a sakshi. He remained unattached to everything. Now those people who ask a question, no, can we realize the truth being in the household? See, the answer comes now from Bhagavatam. One should never doubt, after reading this shloka, that only sannyasis can get realization. Who said that? So many examples of people are there of those who have realized the truth, but one has to live like that Raja Prthu in the Grahastha, then one will realize. See here, Griheshu Vartamanopi Sasamrajya Shriyanvitaha Na Asajyatendriyartheshu Nirahammatirarkavat. These are the important points. Na sajjate indriyartheshu nirahammatihi. 2 points only. While living in the household, being aware, doing the duty as a king, see that while remaining a householder and endowed with imperial fortune, still he was able to realize. Why? Because did not get attached to the sense objects and did not have ego. He was free from ego and conceived no attachment for the object of sense. Even as the sun, though shining on bog, etc., does not get daubed with it. Sun illumines so many things in the whole creation, but never gets affected by it. Same way with what it was said, now I am the Sakshi, Prakriti keeps doing its work. So one will do what role one has to do, one will play that role. But no attachment to the objects of senses, no attachment to the Karta Bhav. The Karta Bhav, Mamata Bhav given up when he said, I offer all this at your feet. That is how one can attain the realization. So finally, here what is said, this Raja, he used to perform his duties at the right time, right place, offer it at the feet of Bhagavan. Was he a brahmachari alone? Swamiji, you may say that because, he did not marry possibly, No, he was married. He had a wife also and he has 5 children now. Archi is his wife, and who are the 5 children? Vijitashva, Dhumrakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina and Vrika. 5 children. Second 54 shloka says that. And this Prthu Raja also is manifesting all the glorious qualities of these 8 Lokapalas. Those who take care of, govern the creation, they are called Lokapalas. 8 Lokapalas are there. So he manifests all these qualities also. And he did his seva of the praja. He didn't terrorize them. He didn't want, that I am the supreme, none of that. So he served the praja, delighting the people with his mind, speech, conduct, as well as by his virtues. He bore the significant title of Raja. See, Raja itself means one who delights others. Meaning it's not the job of Raja to do entertainment and delight people, but by his dharmic rule, one who delights the people. And so he is also called like a moon god, Somadeva, Somaraja. See that? Rajetya dhannam adheyam Somaraja iva paraha Suryavad Visrajan Granhan Pratapanscha bhuvo vasu. So in one line only, he is compared to both sun and the moon. Like the sun, like the moon, which provides coolness to everyone and delights everyone because of the cool rays of the moon. Same way the Raja was delighting everybody with his virtues, speech, conduct, everything. And he also is doing his duty as a king. One of the duties of the king is what? Collect the taxes and do the development. So the example of sun is given here. Like the sun takes the water from the earth, the lakes and the ponds and the oceans and all that. It takes the water, evaporates it, and then makes it the rains and gives it back. So that analogy is given for the king. See, even as the sun drains the moisture of the earth and releases it and radiates heat, so he drew the wealth of the earth by way of land, revenue and other taxes. He drew the wealth of the earth and distributed it amongst the people. So it was not for himself, for the people, and exercised his authority over the people. So he was formidable like fire. Now his Prthu Raja's glory is expressed now. So he was formidable like fire in splendor, hard to conquer like the Indra, wide with earth in forbearance, and with heaven in bestowing men whatever they sought. Like God of rain, he showered his blessings on people. Like the ocean, he was too deep to be understood. In his firmness, he was like Mount Sumeru. In meting out punishments, he is like Lord Yama. Like his marvelous acquisitions, he resembled the Himalaya mountain. Like Kubera, he was rich in treasures. Like Varuna, his wealth was well guarded. Like wind, he could move everywhere and matched him in strength of vitality, body, prowess. While in irresistibility, he vied with Lord Shiva. See that? Beautiful. Bhagavan Bhutaradiva. Avishahyataya Devo Bhagavan Bhutaradiva. Kandarpaiva Saundarye Manasvi Mrigaradiva. He looks in handsomeness. He is like this Kamadev. Kandarpaiva Saundarye. Manasvi Mrigaradiva. and he was full of spirit like the lion, lot of energy, enthusiasm. In paternal affection, he is like Swayambhu Manu. In lordship over men, he was like Brahma. In expounding the Vedas, he was Brahaspati, god of, the Guru of Devatas. In self-control, he was like Sri Hari himself. And in devotion to the cow, the preceptor and the Brahmanas, as well as to the votaries of Lord Vishnu, in modesty, humility and amiability, as well as in his efforts for benefit of others, he was his own equal, meaning nobody can match him in all these. This Bhagavan, this Raja Prthu is as great as Bhagavan Ram. That is the analogy coming here. Through his glory sung by the people everywhere in three worlds, he had reached the ears of women, even as Sri Ram entered the ears of pious men. Meaning, if at all he has to be compared, he can be compared only to Bhagavan Ram. Such glorious King Prthu was. So though he was a king, he enjoyed the kingdom, he did all his duties, but he realized Bhagavan through that, because everything is dedicated to the Lord by him. The yajna was dedicated to the Lord, the kingdom and everything, he is offered it to Sanatkumars. And even when they did not take it and they ascended, he continued to rule with the same attitude that this does not belong to me, and he enlightened himself. Now we come to the last chapter, which we take up in the next class, where he will retire. He will see, he has already realized the truth. He need not do anything more. But even as a king who has realized, he sets a fantastic example. And what he had said, the knower of the Veda alone is truly capable of ruling. He proves that. Because the essence of the Veda is Brahmagyan. And here is the king who has attained that Brahmagyan. So he actually is eligible, and he is the one who is fit, and he rules with that. See the difference between him and any other king there. One who is an enlightened person, who is a king, what a difference it makes. Whole Praja is so delighted. Still, the next chapter you will see, he withdraws, hands over the kingdom, takes a vanaprastha, goes and meditates. Amazing is the life of Raja Prthu. So that we will take up in our next class, that is next week. Any questions for today? Okay. So we'll do the Arati.
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की, मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बणिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अटकी, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल पैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की मंगल आरती मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की मंगल जुगल प्रिया बावन की मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की मंगल प्रीति रीति डोल की मंगल आरती मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम् नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Jyotsna ji, you have a question?
Swami ji,
हाँ बोलिए।
I couldn't connect on the Telegram. The link was not there today. I tried this one, that one. Finally, Shruti sent me the link. Otherwise, we click on B.
Link is there in the description. Every
It's not
class.
there.
Of course, it will be there. Why is it not there?
Swami ji, I tried. I even rang up somebody else, and she said she was also trying online.
Hey, if you click the Telegram group name,
Yes,
you see the link there.
I clicked that. I
No,
clicked
no.
B. If
One
you
minute.
could.
1 minute, you please see here. I've shared it here, right? Now you
Yeah.
are able to see the screen. When I
Yeah.
click this name, the name of this Bhagavatam class, when I click up, you see what is given here. Time 11:30 to 12:30.
Yeah.
This whole thing is there.
So, Swami ji, but today it didn't come up. Every time I click on it,
I don't know.
I'll try again.
I
I'll
don't know
see
why it
again.
didn't come up. Maybe you have to restart your phone or something. But otherwise, it's there. It's the same link.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.